the biggest thing I would want to ask is obviously on the radio you talked about Ryan being here. Is there a signing?
Well, I said there might have been a guy named Ryan here at SeaTac. I said I might have seen him in the facility today.
Other people saw him at the facility.
So I mean, you guys can read into that what you want. As soon as we get the blessing, we'll make an announcement. There's some legal things we have to do before we can make an official announcement, if that answers your question. Okay, all right.
So we were talking to Steph about this, but the prize pool came out for the Club World Cup, a fair amount of money.
Yeah.
Do you have any? I know there is a clause in the CBA that sort of addresses other tournaments, but does it feel like something where you're hoping the players are able to get a bigger cut than what would be otherwise guaranteed?
Well,
or how do you hope that money gets used? Let me put it that way.
Well, look, it's obviously a lot of money for the club. Where the club, how the guys upstairs use it, what the players deserve. I mean, that's going to be a good conversation because, look, the club can use the money for a lot of different good things. The players work awfully hard. I mean, they worked hard for that opportunity to play in this tournament, so they should be rewarded. But, if somebody asks me my opinion, I'll certainly, give it to them. But I'm sure that's going to be a group discussion. And we'll figure it out. The players are well compensated. They'll get money. The club's going to get money. So I think it's a win-win for everybody.
Do you hope that some of that money gets reinvested into a transfer fee? I mean, obviously, I haven't spent a lot of money on transfer fees lately.
Well, I'll stay away from that one.
Oh.
But yeah, I'm hoping that whatever the club does, they spend that money wisely, because again, we're going to spend, maybe not as much as the Atlantas or whatever, but we're going to spend money. We've always shown that if the team isn't going to be successful, then the club has always spent money. I mean, again, there's a lot of metrics that Tyler has upstairs. You can look at the clock and say we were 8 minutes away from maybe getting into overtime and hosting a final. We were close. I understand the disappointments of not beating LAFC last year in the semifinal of an Open Cup at our preferred locations. I get all that. And I get all the fans that say, oh, we need to score more. I understand all of that. But the team over the course of time has been extremely successful, in my opinion, including last year, because we certainly didn't start out that way. But we ended it, in my opinion, on a high note, winning 13 out of 18 games we won. I don't know what but we won a lot of games at the stretch. So I'm sure we're going to make good decisions with the money.
Ryan, aside from individual compensation towards players and staff, how do you assess the amount of money that was allocated for this particular region in comparison to the other ones?
Again, I'm no expert there, but I mean, look, Real Madrid, Bayern, some of the, Atletico, and, some of the teams over here, there's a little bit of imbalance. I mean, I don't think that, I don't know, Jose. I mean, look, it's probably just reality. I mean, the reality is we're going to pick up a lot of money that the club, the team earned, and we're going to use that money wisely. Whatever somebody else gets, I mean, that's way out of my price, right, or my purview.
When you kind of consider or kind of look at injuries are going to happen, but obviously schedule congestion has, played a part. There's been more and more games as soccer's progressed. When you, is there a way or, a wish that can help you in a sense of having rosters be able to manage those kinds of things?
I'm getting a lot of questions above my pay grade today. That again is just, the league, MLS, and the players' union coming together and saying, okay, there's 34 regular season games. We've got Leagues Cup. We've got CCC. We've got these different playoffs. There's a lot of things that factor into that, and certainly maybe the next time the collective bargaining agreement comes around, maybe they'll make some tweaks. Maybe the league's making some tweaks. You guys have all heard maybe the league's going into a different schedule, and then we'll have to figure that one out because that's different than what we're used to. I mean, there's a lot of things, again, that are above our pay grade. We as the coaches, the players, we do the best job we can. Players keep fit. They're all good athletes. They all do their work in the gym. The sports science guys, fitness staff does a great job. Chris Cornish and his staff. And we as coaches have to try and make good decisions. Okay, so I did reflect on the injuries that happened to us earlier this year, and what did we learn from them? That's just normal course of business for us as we reflect on our decision-making process.
Steph talked about the offensive weapons that San Jose have. What do you make of their attack and the personnel?
Two of the best pure goal scorers in the league. So, and then, they got a winger that's super good, and, we'll see. We'll try. Look, we're a good defensive team. Maybe there's a little battle there. We're trying to, again, work on some of our attacking movements to make sure we put pressure on them. I think our possession's pretty good. So they can't score if they don't have the ball. There's always that old adage. So we'll see. It'll be a good game.
Thoughts on Bruce Arena overall, just as a coach in his long time in this league?
Yeah, I think Bruce is a great guy. Always helped me in the past. We've always had good conversations. Again, one of the godfathers of our sport in coaching.
Any good stories about your conversations with Bruce?
Yeah. None for this audience.
You consider him a Tacoma guy?
No. I know that one season when he was a goal, whatever. No. He's an East Coast guy.
Is Nuhu still on track to arrive?
He's should be landing here in a couple hours, hour and a half, hour 45 minutes.
What did you make of his minutes over with the Cameroonian national team?
They had two good results, so it pushed them up in the standings. The game, was it rain? Was it that humid? It looked like it was a, interesting setting there. I'm talking about the last game, but they won handily.
And then what did you think of his one?
Good. It's good. It was always been good for Cameroon.
When you're assessing, Christian played a line forward last week. When you're sort of assessing how you want to use him, versus, keeping him in one spot versus moving him around. How would you assess how he played? And
you talk to him. You get his feelings, and how do I assess it? I watch film, talk to him, get feedback from the coaches. Christian has done a great job playing with Obed. Okay, in a perfect world, would we have a perfect 11? You guys asked me that question. Do I have a perfect 11 yet? Maybe not, but he's pretty solid. Him and Obed are pretty solid in there. But with some injuries, I played him up a line, and it was okay. I think the whole team was just okay, but we need better than that. So we'll make some tweaks, and we'll see, because there's also, we're not panic stations yet. We're not going to change lineups every single game just because you have one bad result.